Hey everyone, Miss Dark here. We got a new week and we're going to be learning about vertical angles today. So let's just get right into it. So vertical angles we talked a little bit about yesterday, but I'm going to start off with the definition. So the definition of vertical angles is the angles that are opposite each other when the lines are intersecting are vertical, which means that they are congruent angles. So when they're vertical angles, it means they're congruent and the same. So essentially, if I have angles that are intersecting like this, what would the question mark be? Okay, we talked about it a little bit last week. See if you remember. Yeah, that question mark would be 135 degrees because what across from it is 135 degrees. So since these two are vertical, it means they are the same. And sometimes you see them indicated like this. If they're the same, they have that same line, just one line. And so that equals 135 degrees. So what we're going to be doing today is solving for x when the angles are vertical. So let's get into some few examples. All right, so this seems a little tricky, but I know you guys are super smart, so you've got it. So we're going to solve for x first, and then we're going to find the measure of the angle. So not only are we having, we're solving for x, there's kind of two steps. We're going to solve for x, and then we're going to find out the measure of the angle. All right, so how do we set up this problem? Well, since they're vertical, we know that since they're opposite from each other, that they equal each other. So we're going to set it up, and they're going to be equal each other. So it would be negative 4x plus 16 equals 12x. Since they're equal to each other, say this was 100 degrees. This would also be 100 degrees. So I'm not saying that the measure is 100 degrees, but that's why we set them equal to each other. All right, so this looks a little tricky, but remember we need to get the variables on one side and then the numbers on the other side. So I don't really like dealing with negatives, so I'm going to add 4 to both sides. And remember, whatever I do on one side, I also do to the other side. So if I add 4 on this side, I also have to add 4 on this side. Make sure you put your line down the equal sign. So I'm adding 4. These cancel, and I'm bringing down my 16. 16 equals 12 plus 4 is 16x. And now this is just a one-step equation. So in order to get x by itself, they're together really close apart. And the only way to get them apart is we need to divide. So we divide by 16. Whatever we do on one side, we also do to the other. Divide by 16. And then x equals 16 divided by 16 is 1. So I've found the first part of my problem. I'm solving for x. And then we need to find the measure of the angle. So what I would do is I would take each portion of it and put x into that. So for this one, oh, let me get that red off. So I'd have 12 times 1. And 12 times 1 is 12. So this angle would be 12 degrees. And just to make sure and check, we're going to put 12 into this equation as well. So negative 4 times 1 plus 16. Do you see how I'm putting in 1 for x and 1 for x? So negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. And negative 4 plus 16 is positive 12, so it's 12 degrees. So that equals 12 degrees, that equals 12 degrees. So that's why it's vertical angles. All right, we're going to do one more example. I know this seems a little tricky, and again, please pause the video and write this down. Okay, pause the video, take your time. Whatever you don't understand, pause it. You've got plenty of time, so just pause the video. Okay, so we're solving for x and then finding the measure of the angle. So remember, we're setting these two equal to each other. So what our equation would look like is 5x minus 5 equals 2x plus 97. All right. Now we're going to draw our line down the equal sign. And as I'm looking at it, you know what? I'd only like dealing with positive answers or positives. So I want to get these x's on one side. If I subtract 5, then that would be -3, and we don't want that. So I'm going to subtract 2x to get it on the other side. So now 5 minus 3 is, or 5 minus 2 is 3x. And I'm going to bring down this -5. Make sure you take that negative with it. 2x minus 2x, that cancels itself out. And I also get 97. So I'm bringing that positive 97 down. Now this is just another two-step equation. So I already drew my line down the equal sign. I find the number not attached to the variable, which is 5. And then I perform the opposite operation. So I add 5. Whatever I do on one side, I also do to the other side. So now I have 3x equals 97 plus 5 is 102. And 3x is, they're so close together, right? So to get them apart, we need to divide. So we divide by 3. Whatever we do on one side, we also do to the other side. So x equals 102 divided by 3 is 34. So we found what x is, but we also need to find what this angle is. So we got to find out what this angle is. And remember, these are the same. So you can choose whichever equation you want to do, and you can do both just to check your work. So I'm just going to do this, this one right here. So I'm just going to plug in my x into the equation. So 5 times 34 minus 5. So if you want to use a calculator, go for it. I'm going to tell you that 5 times 34 is 170. 170 minus 5 equals 165. And if you would like to, you can do the other equation. And just to check your work, see if 165 is correct, but I'm not going to do that to save some time. If you have any questions on these, please let me know. We can do a separate Zoom meeting if you're confused, and I'd love to help you out. Have a great day. Bye.